The asteroid that hit our ship.
Updating trajectory.
There.
Asteroid impact, 12 hours.
It was just a small part of a much bigger one. See this? It's coming here. Not something you'd want in your daily plan, get hit by, life-ending asteroid. No, thanks. No. Don't want any of that. Send it away.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Science Fiction Remnant. I am your host, Robert.
This is
I'm your host
Chaos.
from Down Under, Ray. Oh, sorry, Captain Chaos.
Who do we have here, Robert? Who do we have here? Our special guest today.
We have a special guest. Yes, you're right. Gary Bloom, welcome. Thank you so much for coming to our show today.
Of course, guys. Thanks for having me. This is pretty awesome.
And for all of you that don't know, Gary Bloom is a writer. And I'm going to put on, if you're actually listening to, watching on us on YouTube, there's going to be a QR code on the link. If you're listening to us, there's going to be a link to the book. You can get a copy of Antares Ascended from Amazon for your Kindle or wherever you prefer to read. But there's going to be a link on the show notes, and if you're watching on YouTube, you can just scan it, and it takes you right there. So, Gary, can you tell us a little bit about, just a little bit about your book and
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I know this is going to be a bit of confusion for guys like me, but in this one, the Empire is actually the good guys. Believe it or not, we're getting into assassination, regicide, getting into a whole bunch of battle. There's a rebellion for a dude who he thinks he should have his uncle's throne, and he wants to put the entire empire under his heel. And he doesn't like the fact that people aren't as violent as they used to be. He's not happy with the fact that wholesale slaughter isn't a thing anymore. And so it's basically fighting through that rebellion. And actually, it's funny. Right before I jumped on with you guys, I was actually working on the tail end of book 2. So hoping to have that one actually out in May if I'm lucky.
Awesome.
Nice.
So just remember, you have the link. Go get the book and get on our Discord and let's talk about it. If you once you buy it and read it, get on our Discord and let's have a chat about the book. Tell us what you think.
Sweet, man. I would come on and I would even answer questions if you guys wanted.
Awesome.
Chat with the author.
Yeah. You here first.
I would do a AMST. Ask me several things.
Nice.
Nice.
So what have you guys been watching? Yeah, Robert, we know. Star Trek with the missus.
We are finishing season 2 of Voyager. Getting really interesting because like I said, it's just so cool to be able to have some things brought up by her that I never noticed before when I'm the one who actually rewatched this like so many freaking times. So can't wait actually for season 4 because that's the introduction of the Borg to the whole series here. So looking forward for that. But that's all I've been watching lately that is sci-fi related. We'll finish sometime.
Sometime.
Yeah.
Sometime.
She already says she wants to rewatch Enterprise, so
Oh, good.
So it's going to be the mouse wheel. You're just going to keep going around.
Pretty much.
But when will you watch Babylon 5?
Well, I'm kind of waiting for her to finish that, and then maybe I can get her started with Babylon.
Just tell her Babylon 5 is the missing series of Star Trek. Watch it.
Where can you watch Babylon?
Tell her, honey, you gotta take one for the team here. We have to do this for Ray.
Where is it in Tubi right now? Babylon 5?
Yeah, yes, it should be in Tubi, I think. Yes.
I think it's in
I may have to go get Tubi at this point because I don't know how I missed Babylon 5, but it's one of those things where it's like I've searched for years. Hey, where can I watch it? And I don't know. Anybody who I've ever talked to, with the exception of Sheldon Cooper, I suppose, but everyone else who I've ever talked to seems to get it.
I don't feel
TV, according to the intertubes. Apple TV.
Okay. Oh, I got
Which I
that.
know
All right.
that Robert's a big proponent of. So.
Yeah. So I don't feel that bad. I don't know how I missed that either. So, but that's why we have the hashtag.
Babylon 5. What make Robert watch Babylon 5?
Yeah. Like that's gonna happen. What about you, Mr. Chaos? What have you been watching, playing, reading? What have you?
I've been playing actually sci-fi. I started today playing Dead Space, the remake. It's terrifying. Robert likes it very much, right, Robert?
No. Although I like Doom, so I don't know why I don't like Dead Space, but hey.
I was watching. Look what the funny thing is. I was watching making of this video game, and like they tell you in that docu-series, it's like like that movie is like a 12-hour movie. They tell you like we actually work with professionals to make sure that this would scare the shit out of you. It's terrifying. I also been playing Super Hot, which is a very low graphics game. It's like everything in polygon, first-person shooter. Now, here's the fun thing about the game. Super Hot, as long as you don't move, nothing else moves. So you can evade bullets and things, and you're like throwing in like fighting scenarios, and you can catch things in the air and just fight up waves and waves of enemies. But basically, you can just not move, and then you can calculate what's gonna be your next move, and then just go and do that and get out of the way. It's very fun. It's very fun. I also been playing
Neo
Starfield.
in the Matrix.
Yeah, kind of like that, but basically everything looks polygon. It's just a white space in polygon. Weapons are black, and you are like a black polygon man, and then your enemies are red polygon men, and they just keep on coming downstairs and stuff.
That's cool.
It's like a first-person fighter, but that's the cool thing about that game. It's like the mechanics is you don't move, you can calculate your next move. Everything freezes the moment that you start moving.
That's cool.
So it's like you kind of control time in that aspect,
Nice.
It's super fun. Also, Starfield, which is like if you love space opera, it's like a vacation place virtually to go play Starfield. Such a great game, man. I actually very anticipated game, and I am pleased. Just like the next one that I'm doing too, which is Cyberpunk. I'm pleased with the results. They're very fun and they do the job. But that's everything I've been watching. What about you, Gary? What sci-fi have you been consuming lately?
So a couple things actually. Had to be on a business trip last week, and happened to be one of those hotel TVs where they let you not log into your Netflix. So I got to crack into something on my list I've been wanting to get into, Resident Alien. Which I mean, look, I'm a big Alan Tudyk fan. Like the fact that, and hopefully this is not a spoiler for anyone who's going to watch Firefly and Serenity, but the fact that they killed off Wash,
they're late though.
It just kills me, man. It just it hurts me. But love this dude, and it's brilliantly written, and got to the point where telling my wife about it when I got home, I really got a chance to do a few episodes. She's like, "Oh, I would watch that with you if you want."
She was mad because you didn't. Because you didn't wait. Like you watch it without.
Well, no,
me.
she hadn't even heard of it. And she's like, "Oh, I would watch that with you." So we're gonna start over. We're gonna watch it, and then if any of you guys haven't read it yet, I just got a chance to crack into this the other day. The new Thundercats. It's pretty cool, man. It's pretty cool, and having a 9-year-old daughter that I've actually introduced to the original show, and like we've watched the entire show through twice on Hulu. So, oh yeah, man. Like, oh, dude, are you kidding? We've been watching the reimagined Voltron, who's at the DreamWorks version of Voltron. So yeah, like she's digging into it. She watched Upper Decks without me, or Lower Decks rather without me, and she watched Avatar.
Lower Decks too.
Yeah.
Well, Lower Deck is a gateway drug for my wife.
Listen, I'm hoping it's a gateway for the Munchkin. I mean, I want to start introducing her to some more sci-fi.
Nice,
cool.
And our mad scientists, what have you been cooking up in the lab that is sci-fi?
Well, I'm getting through some more certain scientific railgun because there's 4 seasons, so
I did watch that too.
Rewatching, but getting ready for that big one that's coming up soon. And I actually started watching the Avatar Last Airbender live action remake on Netflix.
I love it. I'm going to say this. I know Gio is going to hate me for it. I love it, and I think it's better than the movie.
You love Dragon Ball live action.
Hold on. Did they remake the cartoon like episode for episode, or is it something new?
No,
It's pretty close.
Okay.
It's not quite episode
the live
for
action
episode, but
representation of the cartoons, right?
well, yeah, but like the destroyed Airbender southern city, they just did such a good job on it. The special effects are awesome. It doesn't look nearly as cheesy as the movie did. So and the actors look a lot like the cartoon characters. Like
Really?
they've done a really good job with casting.
Yes.
The kid playing Aang is a little bit cheesy, but I mean, I guess he's 12, so he's allowed.
I was gonna say, but like Aang in the cartoon is a little bit cheesy.
That's right.
So like a spot on casting.
But no, they did some great scenes. Like the very first time you meet Aang, he's hanging off the top of the highest tower in the Southern Air Temple, and he gets called by Getsu, the guy who is like his main tutor, and he jumps off the building and like dives, like does a Spider-Man off the building. Nice. And it starts like flying around all the spires and stuff and spinning around, and then Getsu just looks at him and goes, "Show off."
Yeah, I like the chemistry between them. That I really liked.
Awesome.
No, and like the guy playing Iroh looks spot on for the cartoon character, and he's got the same mannerisms and everything. They did a really good job.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to watch that then with the Munchkin, because she was such a hardcore fan of the cartoon that.
Yeah, well, my son is 10, and we actually watched through the entirety of Avatar: Last Airbender and The Legend of Korra, and he was like, "Oh, is it over?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And then he found out about this. He goes, "Come on, Dad! Come on! We're gonna watch." Got all excited.
You know they're gonna make a new saga of the gang, like all the original characters but grown up.
All right,
that's fine.
No.
Animated.
Happy.
Here's the thing, man. I don't, and I know some people like get bugged out. No, it's got to be just the original or nothing. Like, give me more sci-fi to consume. You know, like as long as it's well written. I mean,
yes.
Like there's stuff out there that's been poorly written or poorly cast, or what was the X-Men film where Apocalypse looked like a Smurf? But like, if you do it well, like, dude, I'll take stuff all day long. Like, I don't care. You know, I mean, it's
on the future pass.
Yeah.
Yeah, you fit in well with this crowd, Gary, because we're pretty much the same thing.
Oh yes. Okay, so should we move on to our next segment?
Let's do it.
We are Science Fiction Remnant.
This is the Funny Science Fiction Podcast.
We are the Caribbean Science Fiction Network.
We are Monorats.
We are One Accord Level 2 Podcast.
This is Jesse from Sudden But Inevitable and Open Pike Night.
This is Sci-Fi.
And
I missed that.
if you are new to the show, this is a segment that we wish everybody would use. Because if you are a creator, if you are a fan, this will be a way as a creator to share your love to the community, the sci-fi community. And as a fan, you discover things that you would otherwise not know of and have a new love, have a new IP that you love. And also, if you have that one IP that you love so much, you can start a conversation about that one IP, which is what we all love here. So what you got to do is you follow that hashtag, this is sci-fi, or if you post anything that is sci-fi related, just add this is sci-fi to it, nothing else. And share with us, share with everybody else that follows that hashtag, and we can have the conversation. One of the coolest things, and I don't get tired of repeating this, is the fact that I have seen people that would like hate an actual IP, right? Or make fun of people within that IP. And following the hashtag and reading and interacting with the people with a passion and seeing the different types of perspectives they have on that particular IP, they were curious enough to give it a second chance, and now they are fans of that IP. And that's the thing that I love the most, because as you know, if you follow the show from the very beginning, what the reason why I decided to start using the hashtag and basically creating a hashtag is the fact that I love all kinds of sci-fi. I love everything sci-fi. And what I found was different silos. So you have the Star Trek, you have the Star Wars, and don't get me wrong, silos are okay. I love talking to those people about their IP because it's my IP. But the cool thing is that I wanted to get a place where I can talk about everything sci-fi. And that's what this is Sci-Fi is all about. Not sure, Gary, if you're familiar with it, but I welcome you to, whenever you have anything that is sci-fi related to add that as well.
You know what? I'm gonna have to do that. I was actually so I don't know if you guys know Michael A. Stackpole, the writer. Do you guys remember? He actually did the Star Wars Rogue Squadron books, and he wrote I, Jedi. You know, nice. we have him to thank for Corin Horn for those of us who remember Star Wars before Disney decided that those 40 books that I read didn't matter. And, you know, I actually was posting about today on Threads, in fact, that, you know, he's done amazing stuff in Star Wars. He's done incredible stuff in battle, in BattleTech. But he's actually got some really, really cool stuff that I just don't think he gets enough credit for how great he is. So there's a book called Once a Hero for those who like fantasy. Absolutely, you know, suggest you delve into that. He's definitely, you know, an influence of mine. And then there's another guy. He's an up and comer named Timothy Zahn. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of him before. But
oh yeah, of course, Timothy Zahn is awesome. He's
I was going to say, of course, I'm kidding. You know, and again, you know, a lot of folks know him for, you know, for his Star Wars work. But there's a standalone book that he wrote, and I read years and years ago. And it was called Manta's Gift. And like you want to get some really, really cool sci-fi with a different perspective and, you know, getting away from the humanoid stuff and getting away from a lot of like the galactic war and the space opera, you know, and look, what I write is space opera. And I do love it. That's, you know, that's definitely my passion, but I gotta say, you read Manta's Gift and you get into a completely different mindset. So that's the sci-fi stuff that I got to throw out there, because I've had deep, long conversations with anybody who's read either of those two books, and I'm happy to have those conversations again.
Awesome. And that's basically it. That's the whole idea of the hashtag. And we also included within the hashtag, and you can reach out if you're not familiar where you can find it. But we do have a sci-fi private chat on Twitter, and we also have a Discord.
Nice.
So in the Discord, I would say it would be very hard for you to go in there and not find what you're looking for. So if you do, reach out and let me know, and we can make it a thing. There's a channel for everything. So just join our Discord channel and let's kick on those conversations. And don't forget to use the hashtag. Ray, I always ask the question. I don't know if you want anything to add to your this is sci-fi hashtag for the week.
Not off the top of my head. Sorry,
that's okay.
I was actually doing some research on the atmosphere 65 million years ago while you were talking.
Nice. No, that's okay. Gio, if you have anything to add to the
well, actually, even though not through the hashtag, but I got a new writer for our blog, and it turns out to be a friend from university back in Dominican Republic. He's actually a scientist, and he works on the Hadron Collider project in Spain. So cool. And he wrote a paper about reality, but it's so well written that it's just like when I like listening to Star Talk or anything that Neil deGrasse Tyson put in his head, or Carl Sagan. It's like they dumbify it enough, or simplify it enough that it is easy to understand when you read it. And it makes you enjoy science, which I think science is that what it's meant for, is to enjoy the wonder of discovery on it. So it's very interesting. And that's why this is sci-fi story actually of the week, man.
Nice. And you know, I do, and I don't know if I do the invitation enough, but if you are a writer, you want to write a piece that is 3-4 minutes long. It doesn't have to be something big. That is all around what we do here, which is bridging the gap between sci-fi and science fiction. Just reach out to me. Send me the article, and we can publish it. And sciencefictionremnant.com. So I invite everybody to, not only if you want to be a guest writer, but also reading the articles that we already have. I have a couple in there, and as well as our very own Captain Chaos.
Mm-hmm. I just wrote a new one.
Nice. Yeah. And you guys will be reading that pretty soon. Awesome. So with that, we're going to move on to the next segment.
Shout out. Well, for the shout outs on this one, even though you tried to cut me on guard and my system went down and my notes are off, I know my shout out for this week, actually. It is a special thank you and a shout out to Cinema Rico, the Vern, and Ashley. Actually, apparently she was not in, so she's back now.
Nice.
They did actually, everybody, whatever you're doing right now, go and check them out. We'll be here when you come back. But you go and find them on X or Twitter, however you like to call it. I call it Twitter still. Forever, Twitter.
The times, Gio.
Yep.
Twitter.
No, Elon Musk. You're gonna have to come and ask me personally, Elon Musk. But you can find them over there at Cinema_Rico. They always do great reviews of very good classics that everybody knows. The last one they did was about Agriel and Lisa Frankenstein. It's like a horror comedy. Very fun. And that's all the shout outs for today, man.
Okay. So now I'm going to do another thing that I think very own mad scientist actually misses.
Our thoughts.
Yeah.
He misses it. And it's our next segment. It's called
The Alita Army News.
I need one of those boxes, man. It's just too hard when you're not around, Rob. Oh, dear. So, episode 203 of Radio Chaos. Yes, it's been going for that long. The topic was, could current day AI help make Alita Battle Angel 2? Speaking of which, Gary, are you aware of the Alita Battle Angel movie?
So yeah, I you know what? I got to see a couple of pieces of it. I haven't had a chance to see it straight through, but I know some people don't dig it. I thought it looked pretty cool. So,
well, yeah, everybody here is a huge fan, and we want sequels. So we're all part of the Alita Army, which is the fandom pushing for sequels.
Nice.
So, just so you know,
and if you
big fans here. But yeah, I'm actually one of the hosts of live stream that's on late Saturday afternoon Eastern US time, where basically we're keeping Alita current and pushing Disney for sequels. So that's what's happening there. And we've had 203 episodes of our live stream. So we've been going for a few years. But the topic for this weekend just passed was, could current day AI help make Alita Battle Angel 2? And it was a very interesting discussion, actually. I found a really good article on LinkedIn talking about how AI could be used in the various processes of putting together a movie in general, not specifically that movie, but just movie making in general. And we had a good discussion around those points. It lasted for a couple of hours. So it was really interesting. I've been exposed to a fair bit of stuff on generative AI thanks to editing work that I do for an IT company. So yeah, I had a few things to say about that, but it is really interesting how AI is getting into so many different things now. A lot of people immediately, when they hear generative AI, they think artwork and people stealing other people's art and all this sort of stuff. using AI, but that's only one tiny little sliver of a massive pie that AI is being used in at the moment, and the applications are expanding every day. So generative AI, this don't think about it as the sort of AI that you would see in sci-fi, where they're self-aware and sentient code and all these sorts of things. Generative AI is just smart coding. It's not thinking, it's not alive, but it does some things that were previously thought not to be possible. So it's sort of a breakthrough in coding, but it's no sort of thinking software yet. So we're not there with that sort of AI yet. But we had good fun talking about that. If you want to check that out, go over to the Elite Army channel on YouTube. And have a watch. There's 203 episodes. Actually, there's 202 episodes because we missed one. But we'll sort that out one of these days.
Nice.
Oh, cool, Gary. So you work with generative AI. Wow.
Yeah, you know what? I happen to work for a software company also, and we deal with Gen AI also. So I thought it was interesting that you had mentioned about how it's a lot of people are very, very worried about theft and things of that. And with Gen AI, it's all about what data do you feed into it, and then it's generating something new. Just speaking as an author, like I've got docs that are pages and pages and pages and pages long that are just information about the universe that I've created. So, you take a whole bunch of data that has nothing to do with anybody else's IP, and you just feed it in and you explain to it, these are all the things that are the rules within your universe. There's no reason it couldn't generate something new based on that stuff, and not stealing from, George R.R. Martin and all those other guys who were concerned about losing their stuff, which, listen, I get that, that would be very, very unfair. But if it's folks who are putting together, hey, these are the digital affection, these are the images, and this is the background, and this is a story. Yeah, it could be really cool to see, a new movie built out of Gen AI, but based on the work of actual creative human minds.
Yeah, there's lots of possibilities, and they're only just scratching the surface at the moment. So we'll see a lot more in the coming years about how they put that to work, and it will end up saving money in the long run, because they'll get AI, properly trained AIs, to do a lot of the grunt work, which will save them money. So movies will get better with the same amount of funding, because there will be cost savings in various areas. We discussed all of this in the live stream, so I won't wax lyrical. But it's an interesting field, and there is actually quite a lot of jobs available in AI training. If you were interested in that sort of thing, it's a burgeoning field.
The reality that about AI is that it's not going to take your job. It's going to make it better. It's a great tool. I'm capable of doing so much more thanks to AI. It's just having the autonomy of sitting down there. Like, information is everywhere. We're in an era where it's impossible not to know about things, when there's so many people explaining it so well, doing it, and tutorials for everything. So yeah, it's a great tool, man. I love AI. AI, when you rebel, remember me. It's on the records.
Yeah. See, we were speaking in favor, guys. So
Yeah, you guys taking me to the Ellison in the orbit, okay?
I was just going to add that I don't know about you, Gary, but everyone else here are avid role players, and there's always a lot of time spent coming up with character backgrounds and all that thing, for if you have a lot of NPCs and things like that. And there's actually a tool called Obsidian, which is basically a piece of software that's designed around organizing information, and you can actually tie ChatGPT into it, and you can ask ChatGPT to come up with backgrounds and motivations and stuff for your NPCs, and it just spits them out. It's amazing.
Nice.
So this is old school Star Wars role-playing game from like my junior high years that I just use those rules to rewrite an adventure and some characters and stuff for my daughter and a few of her friends. And I wish I knew that existed. That would have made that so much easier to create.
Oh,
well, Obsidian will give you linkages between the characters, and you can actually set up a sort of a plot and subplots and things like that within the program. Those are the bits that only the GM reads, but you can provide all the background information like world building, characters, how they interact, what's happened in the past sessions, and put that all into Obsidian, and then anybody playing can access it.
That's so cool.
And you can make it available online for your players.
Nice.
And you can add images, and of course you use AI to create character drawings and throw them in. It's so easy now.
Yeah. Okay, so are we ready?
We're here.
Yes.
Are we really, really ready?
Yeah.
Let me find my tab with the plot.
Do we have a plot? We have a plot.
We have a plot. Yes, we do.
Before we get to the plot, I would have to say that this movie was on my list. I'm not sure if it was on the to-do, but it was definitely on my list. And I would have to say thanks to Gary here for bringing it up, because it actually brought it up from the bottom of the to-do list into the recording section, and we're doing it. So I would have to say, I don't know about anybody here, but I watched this movie for the first time today.
Really?
Well, I'm a week ahead of you. I watched it a week ago.
Movie was good, man.
I watched it twice.
I watched it like 4 times, but like I didn't watch it like deep attention like I did today. But I like this movie that much. Today I dissected it. Robert and I have even like a 1-hour conversation in the middle about hyperdimensional traveling and shit.
Yes. Yeah. So we're probably going to get into that today. So
that conversation didn't even go further because we had to finish the movie again, like just to repass it before the time started. Well, we would have been talking for hours.
Yeah.
So 65 wasn't a particular box office success. It was. They've got a range of budget, so obviously they're not quite entirely sure themselves. But the high end was 57 million for the budget, which isn't a lot for movies these days, especially ones with a fair bit of special effects.
Mm-hmm.
And it grossed 60 million worldwide in its cinematic release. So it didn't, it wasn't a box office smash or anything like that. I never actually heard about it in the cinema. Like the first thing I heard about it was when Robert said, "Hey, we've got a guest coming on. We're going to watch this movie." Went, okay.
Well, else.
but you see, this is just like this is sci-fi hashtag. I joined the crew here to be introduced to new sci-fi, and it happens regularly, which is great.
Yeah.
So it's working out for me.
You know what? A lot of folks who I had mentioned to were like, "Oh yeah, I keep scrolling past it on Netflix." I was like, "Stop scrolling past it. Like, add it to your list, make it a point to watch it." And it was just, I mean, first of all, it's Adam Driver. So like, I mean, the dude's a good actor, and
yes,
it's worthwhile. It's funny that I don't know if any of you guys ever watched Moon with Sam Rockwell, where it's really just Sam Rockwell. And apparently he'd had a comment about, it's like, wow, that's a lot of me. You got to really like me to watch this movie. But honestly, it's like, it's a lot of Adam Driver, but he's really good, and he's really good in the movie.
Yeah.
It's the shipwreck genre.
Yeah.
Much like now, what was that one that had the guy made a book? He was lost and alone on a desert island, and he made this volleyball.
Castaway.
Castaway. Yes. So it's very much.
I love that movie. Oh my god!
Very much in the same vein of Castaway, except the island is a planet, which is this planet, and it's 65 million years ago.
Yeah.
So,
nice.
if that means anything. So I'll go over the plot. We cover the plot, Gary, because we figure if you're going to listen to us, we're going to spoil the shit out of everything anyway. So The idea is that if you see a title that we're covering that you haven't watched it, go watch the damn thing, and then come back, because we are going to spoil the shit out of it. You can't really have a deep dive discussion about an IP unless you spoil the shit out of it. There's just no way. So,
I get that.
This is not a review show. This is a deep dive show. So you're supposed to have
pause, go watch it, then come back.
Yeah. It's not a hugely long movie, so you can knock it over pretty quick. Okay, so the plot. 65 million years ago on the planet Samaras, pilot Mills is convinced by his wife that he should take on a 2-year space expedition to earn money needed to treat their daughter Naveen's illness. During the journey, his spaceship, the Zoic, is hit by a massive asteroid and crash lands on an alien to him planet, Earth. Not that it's called Earth yet, because humans don't exist. With his ship damaged beyond repair, he finds that his passengers have been killed and contemplates suicide until he finds a lone survivor, a young girl named Koa. Mills sends a distress beacon for rescue and decides to take care of Koa. However, they have difficulty communicating due to the different languages and a broken translator. He really should have got a hold of Google if that was the case. He could have sorted it. He'd have to wait 65 million years. It could be a little bit of a problem there.
Yeah.
Mills later discovers that a functioning escape shuttle from the Zoic has crash landed on top of a mountain, which is the other half of his ship that broke apart. To encourage Koa to follow him, Mills lies about her family being atop the mountain, when in reality they perished in the crash. The pair quickly realize the planet is home to dangerous and aggressive alien creatures, which are actually Earth's prehistoric dinosaurs. As Mills protects Koa, they begin to bond. Koa watches several video messages sent by Naveen, who's Mills' daughter. The two are attacked by what appears to be a massive theropod, though Mills shoots it in the eye, which enrages it, forcing Koa and Mills to retreat further into a cave. After a rockfall separates them, Mills is attacked by an oviraptor, and Koa is attacked by a raptor-like creature, which she traps in a fallen tree log. She uses bombs Mills has given her to kill the dinosaur. She threw them all in there. She's like, overkill? I don't believe in overkill. Mills kills the oviraptor and escapes the cave, but falls into quicksand while searching for Koa. Koa rescues him, and they continue up the mountain. Mills discovers that a huge asteroid, the same one of the debris his ship crashed into, will strike Earth in less than 12 hours. The two reach the escape shuttle, but Koa is angry when she discovers that Mills lied to her. Mills opens up to Koa about losing Naveen, who had died from her illness while he was away, and promises to protect Koa. Upon learning rescue is on the way, the two board the escape shuttle, but the asteroid's debris causes it to fall down the mountain. A pair of marauding Tyrannosaurus Rex harass Mills and Koa, though Mills successfully kills both of them. Booyah. He's playing Ark. Suddenly, the same predator Mills had partially blinded earlier, which turns out to resemble a hybrid of a theropod and Ruchelid, also attacks. Mills manages to lure it toward a large geyser field, while Koa stabs it in the remaining good eye with a large dinosaur claw that she coated in poison berries earlier, and ends up blinding it. The now blind carnivore then stumbles headfirst into a boiling hot geyser and is burned to death. The pair escapes just in time as the asteroid strikes Earth, causing a cataclysmic event and the extinction of the dinosaurs. With the pod set up to meet with the rescue vessel, the two relax and fly off into the stars. In the closing title, the evolution of Earth is shown and the spot where Mills and Koa left through an ice age until the present day, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah. And
so basically a feel-good romp.
Yeah. Pretty much.
With dinosaurs.
Man, everything sounds better with dinosaurs.
That's right. It's like
I
You know,
do
putting
gotta
space in
make
front of things.
I do gotta make that distinction, and I'm gonna make a short poll in here now. It felt like a video game because the monsters got more dangerous and aggressive increasingly. Like the last one was like the final boss. I was like, holy shit, man.
And then the final boss is the final boss from that
The
game.
comic.
That the
It's
only
like,
you escape, the only way you win it is if you escape it on time.
yeah.
Yeah. There's definitely the ticking
Did
time bomb.
we just watch the dinosaur version of Elden Ring?
Honestly, I wonder if it had done better in the theaters, would they have put a game out, or will they put a game out to see if it'll get more play on streaming?
It will make a great game for sure. And I'll tell you, if anybody likes this kind of genre, you just gotta go play Arcs. Arcs is like the thing if you want to say like modern structures, but also like harnessing and taming them. It's even more fun. I think that Vin Diesel's gonna be in Arcs too. Actually,
yeah, I heard that.
He didn't have time to do any taming. He just had to slaughter them and get the hell out of there.
Because you figure like you're running through swamps, you're trying to climb a mountain, and I will say that the there were multiple moments in this that with the dinosaurs, and this is like just watching on my TV at home, is the first time that I had the wow experience with dinosaurs in any movie since the first time I saw Jurassic Park. It was just one of those wow, this. It was really, really well done. I jumped in my chair a couple of times.
For the budget, the dinosaurs were really well done.
It
was impressive how well they were integrated into the live action.
So I'm going to ask the first question that I normally ask in the beginning of the show. And I don't know how well the first part of that question will play. So the question is, how old were you and what was your very first impression, that very first time you watched this film? I know that second part will play well with most of you there because I hear here that you guys have actually played this movie multiple times. Don't think it's going to be playing well with me because I only watched it once. But I don't know if you guys want me to go first since I only watched it one time. Did you? How many times did you guys watch it?
Watched it twice.
I watched it like 4 times.
4 times. And Ray, you watch it once.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess since you watched it about a week ago, I'll probably let you go second, and then we can move on down the line. Like I said, I watched this for the first time today. So for my comparisons, I would have to come back and you guys can join me on Discord and we can talk about it. Once I watch it, second or third time, and see what my comparison is for my first time. But I was really impressed not only with the special effects, but the concept of the story. It's not something that I can really recall seeing before. I mean, there has been there has been minor things that I've seen it. Like, for example, there was that episode on Star Trek: The Next Generation where Q takes Picard back to Earth, and they're in the primordial soup presence, things like that. But this is the entire movie based on how a alien civilization, let me just say that, visited Earth back when there was dinosaurs. And that concept, it's really cool to me. I don't think I've ever seen it before. It kind of, to me, it kind of ended short. I do want more. But then again, if you listen to the show long enough and you know about your very own Admiral Happy Ending here, you know that I want things even though they have final endings. But that, I think, aside from that, I think that is a testament to what I just watched, because there are things out there that I'm very happy with, what they have, and the fact that I want more tells about the movie and how good I think that movie was. And that is just my personal opinion. But yeah, it's very refreshing to see that kind of story because I never seen it before, where we are watching Earth from the perspective of an alien race, and that's really, really cool. I guess we can move on now to our mad scientist.
Okay, so the moment you read the title of the movie, which is 65, they cut it right back to 65.
You go straight up to like Kane and walking.
No, well, the moment I saw 65, I'd immediately said 65 million years ago. That my brain just went there because I know what happened 65 million years ago, according to current research. So, it's like, oh yeah, I see where they're going with this one. But it's a good concept. The execution of which had a few holes in it, which I'll get to at some point, but I don't want to sort of drag it down at the very beginning. I'll go into them more a bit later. But how much bad luck did this guy have? I mean, not only was his ship not smart enough to tell him that they're in the path of an asteroid field, like it didn't alert him until the thing had been hit. It's like, haven't you got sensors? Shouldn't you be able to calculate that there's asteroids in the way and like avoid them, or at least tell the pilot before they get to it so they can do something? I mean, the AI in that ship was so pathetic.
I'm telling you, Ray. I'm telling you, Ray. I told Robert that there is Australia where everything wants to kill you, and then there's that 65.
That's a Monday in Australia. But anyway. But yeah, no, he has a shitty ship that can't alert him before problems occur. Crashed on a planet that happened to have an atmosphere that his species found breathable, which was pretty convenient. But it also happened to be a death world. If you know the 40K,
that's a gauntlet.
The Warhammer 40K parlance. Yeah. Good. Bad.
I think it was cute when they were trying to rescue the little dinosaur dog. It was cute, right?
Yeah, and then it got and his timing just before a world-ending event. It was like, oh, you showed up right before the main event. It's like, oh shit.
I told you that he was really lucky. Wouldn't you want to be there for the historic event?
Not
depends on the event.
Not like standing there where it's gonna hit. No.
Honestly,
my ship crashed. Well, that's a bit shitty. Right under an asteroid. Oh.
I found it very, very. I actually did find it to be a unique movie, but I also believe that there are parts of from Looney Tunes from my childhood that would have fit right in.
Oh yeah, totally. It reminded me of a cross between the Poseidon Adventure and Castaway. If you could mash those two movies together and send it back 65 million years, you pretty much get this.
Nice.
I think that there was a Poseidon Adventures, Robert, in Busch Gardens, right? You took like a little raft. They closed it already. You took like a little raft on a boat, and you would walk in at the beginning, like into a tunnel that had water going around while you're walking into the scenery.
Yeah, I think it's long gone now, but
yeah, it's close. I got to go though. I was lucky to have been able to have gone.
For those who don't get the reference, the Poseidon Adventure was a 70s-esque sort of disaster movie where a cruise ship had flipped upside down, and there's people who were still alive in the bowels of the ship trying to get from one end to the other to escape the ship that was going to sink. So it's another one of those you're on a timer stories. And okay. It keeps the pressure on because you got to get out of there before the ship sinks and takes you to the bottom and you're cactus. And pretty much, the ship sinking, the asteroid hitting, it's all, a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. It all has the same effect.
Tomatoes, yeah.
What was your take? Because I'm curious, since you watched it a week ago, so you've had a little time for it to kind of rattle around in the brain. Yeah. What was your take on him? Originally, I'm going to say, "Come get me, come save me." Then deletes the message, decides, you know what? Never mind. I'm just going to go ahead and kill myself. Like that was one of the few parts of it where that it sort of threw me out of the movie for a couple of seconds, and then I was able to jump back into it. But I'm curious how you took that one.
Well, this is all down to personal motivations. The guy's just crash landed his ship, and all the people he was transporting he believed to be dead. Also, his daughter had died, and he already knew that. So he basically thought, well, what's the friggin' point? Like, everybody around me dies. I might as well just die too. He was seriously depressed.
Yeah.
And people who are seriously depressed make stupid decisions like that. But the only thing that got him going again was finding Koa.
Yeah.
He survived for her because he saw her and went, well, and she's lost her parents, which, shit, and I'm responsible.
Yeah.
I've got to do something to help her, and that kept him going because he was on the verge of suicide. He was like, well, there's no way getting out of here. We're fucked up.
So you think it was guilt that could actually did guilt shock him out of it? It's like, oh, you're still here and I killed your parents. Great. Although it's not his fault. He was sleeping. It's the AI that forgot to let him know that we're about to hit an asteroid.
If I was him, once I got back to their planet, I would do two things. The first thing I would do is go and buy a lottery ticket because, my God, he must be out of bad luck by now. And the second thing I would do is go to the manufacturer of the AI for that ship and punch them in the face.
I want to see that sequel.
Yes.
Yeah, it would be great. The day 65, the day
Plot
after.
twist for Robert. Plot twist for Robert, though. Prepare Robert, because she's going to learn when she's grown up that it's his fault that everybody's dead and kill him in his sleep.
There you go.
Wow, that got dark quick.
It is Captain Chaos we're talking about here. So awesome. Okay.
I found the movie. Well, the part of the movie, once they got over the shaky premise, the whole it was very much like a computer game, as you said, Gio, and it does flow really nicely.
Yes, it's natural.
It works as a Poseidon adventure-ish kind of movie on a time limit. It's just the problems I have is some of the premise wasn't well thought out and wasn't executed deeply enough to, you really have to put your disbelief at the door and just take it for what it is.
Yes, definitely.
If you're going to enjoy it, because the premise is kind of shaky in the execution, which is a shame. It kind of brings it down a bit. If they'd worked a little harder on the premise, I think it would have held up a whole lot more. But I mean, the execution of the main part of the movie was good. It really was.
Yeah. Well, but it is still science fiction. So I mean, to some degree, like you've always got to suspend your disbelief for a bit, right?
Yeah, no, that's why it's fiction too, right?
But some people, when they're designing their story, spend more time making it internally consistent and believable from a human audience in the year 20 whatever.
Yeah.
And this one, they just skipped over a lot of that. Yeah, it's fine. Doesn't matter that this alien species looks exactly like humans and can breathe our air. It's all good.
That's why it's 65 million years.
Well, I think I like to add the fact that I've seen movies where they do, and that suspending of disbelief is so drastic that it takes you away from the story, and it becomes distracting. I think that is the detriment on those particular movies. And now, also the detriment on trying to make it, believable, right? But one thing that I can add to that is the fact that I didn't think, and again, I agree with you, Ray, here, but it wasn't distracting enough to take me out of the flow of the film for me. So I don't know, I'm kind of curious to see for everybody here if the suspension of disbelief was distracting enough to take you out of the actual story. It worked for me so far, so I'm happy with it.
See, and I'll give you, and I'm very curious. The captain has twice as many viewings as I do, but in between, and then seeing it again, one of the thoughts I had, and I'll give you this counter to the they just happen to look like us and breathe their air. all those bodies were left there, right? So all those bodies were left there. Maybe somehow, what do they say in Jurassic Park? Is that life always finds a way? So how do we know that this is an evolution? This is where this came from. I mean, look at the end of the reimagined Battlestar Galactica, which I know I can't be spoiling anything for anybody at this point. Look at the end of that. Like that it's the idea that, oh yeah, hey, they came to this, and then we found their bones, and we've also maybe that's the whole idea. It's like dinosaurs were gone, and
there's the answer, Robert, what you asked earlier. Robert and I were having a conversation. I'm telling Robert now because he asked me like, "Where did it come from?" And I was saying like, "There's the answer to your question before earlier, bro."
Yeah,
they come from Battlestar Galactica. Yeah,
there you go.
Couldn't put my finger on it, but
everything's connected.
Yeah, I really appreciate that about this film is the fact that it's like for example, when the little girl drew the family on the rock face, right?
They went in Australia, right? You see,
it's probably caves in France, actually.
Let me see if I'm able to screen share this, and of course, it's not going to look as
right that.
I don't know if you can see that, but that is the actual drawing from the cave, right? Obviously.
Family.
It's different in the movie, of course, but I mean, I like how they play around with the fact that we have somewhat evidence of them being here, and what Gary talked about, the fact that there's bodies there, there's dead bodies there, their DNA is actually on there, so it kind of makes you think. I mean, maybe just maybe DNA.
You never know, right?
And I really like that, how you play around with that story, with that concept.
Family.
Well, my take on that was that the crash site was ground zero for the Chicxulub meteor strike that destroyed the dinosaurs. So I don't think that anything that was there wasn't vaporized when that big rock showed up.
We don't know.
Well, yeah, but the whole thing is, if there are aliens out there that look exactly like us and can breathe our atmosphere, that they didn't rock up at another point, because obviously their spaceships could get to Earth. Maybe in a few million years they showed up again and then populated the Earth, and that's how humans showed up. I mean, I wouldn't say that this is the one and only time that species ever came to Earth, if they're able to get there in the first place.
You do have a point there, about they have the ability to obviously come here. So, should we take this moment to thank Gary for being on the show?
Absolutely.
Thank you guys.
It's been an honor, Gary. Thank you so much. And I'm not an avid reader, but I'm gonna eat up that book so we can actually do an episode on it.
Awesome, dude. Honestly, this has been ridiculously fun. I
mean, just with the intro that you gave to the book, just a premise, and Robert knows me. I'm chaotic. I'm a Sith Lord. I want to see what happens in that kind of alternative. Hell yes.
then you might like this the most, right?
Yeah.
One of the guiding principles of the book is the fact that the goddess of chaos, one of her priestesses, there's a prophecy involving this in chaos. So it's right up your alley, man.
Nice. Cool. Oh, well, really, thank you, man. It's been an honor having you.
Thank you guys so much. And dude, I'm gonna pass this around to my friends, because I think a lot of them are gonna love just all the great times you guys have. And I'm hoping to have you guys build up a lot more fans, because what you're doing is fantastic. And I'm gonna have to get Discord installed so I can actually jump in some of these conversations.
Awesome, man. Awesome, man. We'll see you there. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. And here for you. There we go. Bye, guys.
Bye. And for all of you
awesome.
watching the video, there is a link again to the QR code. Again, I'm saying go ahead and get the book and jump on Discord. Let's talk about it. Let's see what you guys think. Okay, so going back to the discussion, and again, in a very science fiction remnant fashion, we have gone off the rails.
Of course.
Always, man. It
Did we have
be
rails?
sci-fi.
I've never seen them.
I kind of wonder about that. So I think we were talking about, Ray, the possibility of them. They obviously can get
This
here.
movie being very scientific-y. Right?
Yeah, scientific. That's right.
We're making that T-shirt. I'm telling you. So that is a very good, a very cool concept that I don't think I really thought about. They obviously can get here, so maybe they came back and someone got stranded, and that's where we came from. I don't know.
That's what elite secret societies secrets are holding from us. Our predecessors, the aliens. Reptilian mans. Just kidding. I'm going football plus R on you guys. Just kidding.
So, Gio, I guess we're missing your answer. We know that you've seen it multiple times. What was your very first impression when you watched it for the first time?
I really like the movie. The movie is made on a very balanced way. You can see, say for the watcher, when you put leave like the disbelief at the door. Like we have spoken before. I think that is they did a good job on how it traversed the movie from beginning to end. It goes getting tenser and tenser, and that's the reason why I compare it to a video game that is a good video game. Like when I was playing Cyberpunk, for example, it's like when things getting tenser and tenser, but there's a build up in the whole plot. It's more fun because it keeps you very engaged. But the fun thing about this is like it's something very simple they're doing. They're surviving, and they need to get to their exit way. And it's like when you put into perspective that everything here where they live, it's like I think of Earth, normal Earth, and I say, okay, many things on the WoW want to kill me, but in this reality, everything is going to kill me, even a freaking berry or an insect. I was even afraid when they drink water at the stream. I was like, you shouldn't try that, But like the movie is very, very, very entertaining too. Like the action, the representation of prehistoric animals, dinosaurs. It was very interesting. I took it out for what it was. I didn't try to go super critical on the movie, and that's what I watched it like 4 times actually. There's some good sci-fi theory in the movie too. Although, god damn it, AI, like you could do better.
Yeah.
I did.
But maybe I think that it shouldn't be so digital. I could have taken it for like House of Atreides or like Doom kind of future where it's not really AI. It's more like no AI controlling anything. But I don't know.
And I would have to say that I do agree with Ray. There are some holes in there. It's just all I'm saying is the fact that I didn't find it distracting enough to take me away like I seen some other movies do.
It was distracting when the girl actually lose all the grenades instead of just throwing one. I was like, Robert was more like, oh, she's safe. And I was more like, didn't she just wasted the whole stack of them?
But
unnecessarily.
To me that is believable. She's a little girl in a place
that
wants to kill you. Of course she wants to overdo it because she wants to make sure that she's safe. And for me, I don't know, at least for me, I find it believable that she would throw the entire bag.
Oh yeah, no, it's totally believable. I mean, it's a little kid scared. I'm not saying that maybe even I would be able to think of that at the moment of survival either, Not even.
Look, I can handle young people making mistakes when they're freaking out. That is quite believable because I see it regularly with my son. But and I remember doing some stupid things when I was a kid. I'm like, why did I do that? Because you're freaking out in the moment. So yeah, I mean that's totally believable. But I mean, I don't know how their ships survive flying through space. It's like you got to have somebody watching them 24/7, or they're just going to fly you into an asteroid field. It's like, bloody hell, these things are stupid.
Yep.
And I mean, it didn't have a big budget, and it didn't have a huge runtime. It was just over an hour and a half.
I think that the whole asteroid premise was more of a like, this has to happen. That's it. Like, don't question.
Yeah, well, I have no problem if this has to happen to make the story work, but they just could have spent a little bit more time on it. Like maybe he got alerted, but a rocket hit an engine and he wasn't able to control the ship properly, and he was trying to pull away from the asteroid, but he couldn't do it. You know, just something that made it a little bit more believable than, oh, I wake up and the ship's already broken in half. Like shit.
You think that if they would have tried to attack the asteroid to blow it up, and debris coming from the impact was that hit them, you think that would have been more believable?
I mean, maybe the whole premise of the like you had the pressure of the dinosaurs and the crash, but then he doesn't find out until partway through that what looks like Halley's Comet is actually death rock from the sky. So that pushed the pressure up again, and the way they presented it worked as a storytelling device. So.
But they would have been fried earlier. It hit the ground, right?
Yeah, but if that had come up earlier, it wouldn't have had the same impact. Pun intended.
But going back to something that Ray,
there's no logistics here. Don't worry.
Going back to something that Red said, you talked about the AI of the ship not detecting the rocks. And I want to just bring the point home, and the fact that I agree with you on the fact, because space travel, in essence, and again, I'm speaking here based on sci-fi, because we don't really, we do some space travel right now to the moon, and even that is mirrored, right? Space travel is dependent on either telescopes or sensors. That's how you travel now. And if you fast forward, let's say, for example, the world of Star Trek, they have the deflector shields, which are in front of the ships. So there's some sort of either avoidance systems or detecting systems in every ship, in every sci-fi IP that I have encountered, and even on real life science, traveling to the moon or sending stuff all the way to Mars, it involves a combination of visual, like telescopes and guidance systems and telescopes. There's always a sensor detecting things ahead to make sure that the route is correct and to make sure that they hit their mark. There's always all that stuff. And that's where I said that I agree with Ray with that part of the beginning of the film, because this is obviously a civilization that is far ahead of ours, although this is in theory on the movie is our past. But what I say is ahead of ours because they're able to travel like that all of a sudden to Earth from whatever planet they come from. So if they have that technology, their sensors or they might have even avoidance systems like in Star Trek. And it's obviously, of course, we don't have enough information, right? Because this film just gives you a brief thing on what their society is. But apparently this is a trip that they normally do, right? And this just happened to be an accident when they're transporting passengers. So in my head, if you are at the point where you are transporting passengers, that means that you are at the point where that thing that you're doing is safe for public consumption. And at least that's how I see it from our point or from our perspective. So this is why I'm going to guess this was an accident that happened and they got stranded, just like you have accidents today, plane crashes and stuff like that. So going back to the point is, they should have avoidance systems within this world. On, if not, at the very least, have things like we have right now, like sensors and stuff like that, to make sure the trajectory and all this stuff is correct.
Can I throw something in there just to see if it computes with you guys, the way my logic is working? Why do they have a pilot and a co-pilot on aircraft? Why do they have a pilot, a co-pilot, and another backup on the space shuttle when it was running? Why did they have 3 guys in the lunar capsule? Why wasn't it just one?
Yes.
Like this guy. Because you need redundancies.
Exactly.
Because one person can fail, like they get a stomach ache and they throw up and they can't think straight, they get dizzy. You've got to have someone else there, or you've got to have an AI that can take over and do the job of another person. And this ship failed, and the company that ran the flight failed in that very basic organization of redundancies.
Hey man, look at the positive side. Survivors get their compensation.
Here's my answer to you, Ray, on that one. The fact that there's only one person in there, in my perspective, the fact that there's only one person there leads me to believe that technology was safe enough. If you look at technology, and again, I'm doing a long stretch here. If you look at every technology that we have encountered, from the vehicle, the car, all the way to the plane, it's an evolution, right? From the beginning, there was multiple people as a redundancy, and then that migrated to systems, like you said, Ray. Right now, planes can be flown by a single pilot. One example could be, for example, the Vision Jet. That's one of the few jets. Even the Citation, the Cessna Citation, although you have there's always 2 jokes in every plane. You could fly those by yourself as a single person, and that's because the systems, the training, the technology has gotten to the point where it's safe enough to have just one person at the helm. I remember when planes had 3 people. You have the co-pilot, and either navigator or engineer controlling the radios. And now that's all. It's a combination of training and technology to the point where that job of all 3 could be done by just one person. So, saying this in a long way, this is the basis that I take on this film to make the conclusion that the fact that there's one person leads me to believe. And again, this is a ship that is transporting passengers.
Yep.
So
they have a duty of care.
Exactly. So this leads me to believe that the technology and the systems and the training involved in this type of travel was safe enough for one person to do it. And of course, this happened to be I like to believe that happened to be an accident that happened. But I do understand. I'm just trying to be the devil's advocate here. But I do understand.
Even under that premise, it could be like, that there is areas where a technology comes into market and then we try to extend its life for the longest. So it could be outdated where AI is supposed to be able to pilot everything, but this was a ship that's still being used for some company circulating industry of transportation. When you look at the logistics, it's like planning a shipment from A to B. If there's going to be a storm, you're either not going to do it or we're going to go across. Same thing that an asteroid.
Yeah. Well, the asteroid still gets me, right? I still feel that there should have been some sensors.
Maybe we missed the real title of the movie. It will be like Space Vacations into Jurassic Park. Gone wrong. So it was to be a nice ride, but unfortunately, they did go out with a bang.
Quite literally.
So obviously, my brain being what it is, I'm trying to come up with ways to plug these plot holes or these premise holes. And I was thinking, Star Trek made a bit of a ham fist of this. The Next Generation, season 6, episode 20, The Chase. I'm sure you remember it, Robert. You're so well versed with your Star Trek. Do you remember what that one involved?
I would have to.
Shame on you, Robert.
Well, have you seen how many episodes are in Star Trek?
Yes, I know. I'm just having I'm having a little end of you. Don't mind it. But basically, in that episode, they were saying that genetic components were seeded throughout the Alpha Quadrant by an ancient race of beings known in canon as ancient humanoids.
Yes, I remember that. Yes.
So, I mean, besides the fact that some genetics from this alien race that just happens to look exactly like us now, 65 million years later, were left on Earth and probably didn't survive the impact of the asteroid. But similar genetic components were seeded across lots of different planets, possibly the home planet of these guys and Earth as well. So we have a genetic basis stemming from the same place.
We are all made out of stardust.
Well, that's true too. But if Star Trek canon is to be believed, then both that race that was flying around in spaceships 65 million years ago and us were, had the same genetic ancestry. So that's a possibility as well. And it would also explain why they could breathe the same atmosphere as us. I mean, I do kind of feel like they're a bit lazy with the whole, these aliens from another planet just happened to look like us. So made it pretty simple. But, they could have just given him some the horns or something. Just something different.
Have a horn to throw though.
Just be a little different. It didn't have to be the guy from Star Wars, the Pico guy, the green guy that wants to shoot Han Solo in the bar. It didn't have to be quite that different, but just something a little bit different to show that it wasn't a human from present day. So it would have been nice, but I guess they had budgetary constraints. Yeah. But I got to say, X. Oh yes. Ex Sith Lords really don't do well against dinosaurs, I've discovered.
Hey, if you got the movie right, you know that at the end, the big boss really was not a bad guy. He was a good dinosaur that went to help. Like, oh, guys, your ship is upside down. Let me help you. And then he tilted over. He said, okay, goodbye. I cannot go with you. I don't fit in it, but have fun.
I mean, as slack as they were with the premise story, once they got into the meat and potatoes of the story, it all seemed to flow really well. And,
I love the gun, bro.
Oh yeah, the gun was good, and that insect on his neck, and trying to get it off his
I was
head.
surprised that nothing happened to him when he got stung by something so consistent. There's another, and you gotta agree with me on this one because you're a biologist, but nothing happened to him with an alien thing that everything is more aggressive there. So I bet that his neck should have melted off and fall off. But on top of that, when he killed it, that viscosity thing didn't call any more of it, which is a regular mechanism in most flying insects in here. Is you kill one.
I mean, there's insects that form colonies, and there's insects that don't, and even within the same genera of insect. I mean, you can have colony bees, and you can have individual bees that don't form colonies. So I mean, it's quite possible that it was just a lone individual. But I'll get into it in the science behind science fiction. But he had an infection, and that would have been pretty freaking bad.
Yeah.
We'll discuss it. I mean, Gio and I kind of covered that in our World War Z discussion just recently, but again, it's very pertinent here with a biological organism in a new environment that it's not adapted to. So we'll cover that in the Science Beyond Science Fiction. But there's a lot of oh shit going down in this movie that didn't seem to go anywhere, but
I don't think they're cured from the infection.
Yeah,
exactly. That infection was looking really rough. Really,
I told Robert it looked like he had some kind of STD on the wound. It was horrible, bro.
Yeah. I mean, once he got to the rest of his ship, he probably could have found some like broad spectrum antibiotics or some sort of medicine which could deal with it fairly rapidly, being that they were a technologically advanced species. So theoretically, their medicine should have been up to the task. But without the medicine, he's in big trouble.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, man.
But I mean, as I was saying about the flow of the story, the ship falling off the edge of the cliff and ending up nose down so it couldn't launch because it was pointed the wrong way. I thought that was quite smart. And it was like, oh shit, we're going to turn the ship over. Hang on. Hey, Mr. Big Dinosaur, can you bash into it and knock it over for us? Thanks.
The writer must have been like, I'm gonna let you escape, but not so fast. Let me make it a little bit worse before it gets good. It was good.
Well, that's a classic writing tenet that things got to get a lot worse before they get better.
Yeah,
and there's got to be a bit of chance involved to make it like, yeah, we're gonna survive.
Or maybe this was the D&D game, and the DM, close but no cigar.
Yeah.
Rocks fall, everybody dies.
You should have killed us all, Robert, when you were being Dungeon Master. You should have ended all like that's it, but no.
I'm a softie that wants to kill people in D&D.
Oh, I'm about to kill somebody on my party on my D&D game now.
do you know what a TPK is?
TPK? No.
Total party kill.
Oh my God.
I've had that happen several times, but there was one where the group was trying to break into a spaceship and they were underneath it. It was hovering over this planet, like only, like 100 meters off the surface. And they got up to it and they're trying to break in. and they failed their roll and the ship just went and fell and squashed them all. They all died.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Pancakes.
That's rolling a one. And then rolling a one again.
Were you the Dungeon Master for that one? The Game Master?
No, I wasn't. I was a
Oh, no, so you were in the fun just getting it squashed.
No, I was a casualty. Didn't think he'd do it.
Oh, didn't think you see, Robert? That's just what happens with players. They get too trusty on their Game Masters. And you don't turn your back against
Where's
that guy.
my plot armor? You never had any. Oh, crap.
Yeah, because that's another thing. You can give it and you can take it away.
That's like role playing with George R.R. Martin, man. You just never know who's gonna die.
What would a game would be like? Huh? I wonder.
Oh, I just feel like horrific.
I definitely, honestly, man, throwing the conversation into the gaming, I think that I would definitely play a game like this. The cool thing is that they need to make it a bit of an open world game. So even if it has some kind of plot, you can kind of burn that experience of survivalism in dinosaurs.
Well, you could have an open plot, but it's got a finishing time. You've got 12 hours, and then it's over.
You can also make it very repetitive. So it's like each mission, it's just like how they did Battlefront 2. I think you have a story that you can play, but what the game mostly is PvP gaming, getting on ships and shooting. It's like a battlefield for Star Wars. It's pretty cool. And basically, and even Warhammer 40K that I'm playing, like it has a story related to it, but the game is made about you leveling up your character, customizing it to the story universe, and then you do harder levels. So it's kind of open on that aspect. Like if they do it like that, this would be a total success, you know?
I would definitely play a game like this.
I love the weaponry. I love it. Very futuristic. I think very unique concept. for weapons. That was like kinetic energy, right?
Well,
I mean, you could massage the premise a little bit for a game related to this, and say, oh, a month beforehand, another one of these ships that has a shitty AI got hit by the asteroid and crash landed on this planet and didn't land right under where the asteroid was going to hit, so they got a better chance of survival, and off you go.
Yeah.
Because I mean, those ships are really shitty, so they're probably being knocked out
True.
of the sky all over the place.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, nice. But yeah, I would love to play this. I'm wondering, bringing back the conversation to what Gio was talking about, the weaponry. What do you think was the fuel source on that? Because I don't know. I mean, I was thinking
some kind of nuclear battery harnessed to a micro level.
I was thinking because you know how like at the end he it was just failing, and then all of a sudden he's pressing some buttons and you see all the green, all the red turn to green, and then eventually he is able to
He turned it off and turned it back on again.
There you go. There you go. So I was thinking like
it doesn't matter how modern thing is, guys. You just gotta reset that shit and it will get back to work.
There you go. That is a lesson you learn only in science fiction. Remember.
Got problems?
And I'd say
start.
So what do you guys think about that? I mean, I was thinking initially, is it solar? I mean, because an energy source would eventually get depleted unless it's like atomic. And then if it is atomic, then, oh boy, it would have to have.
It has a range of power unimaginable if you think about it.
Well, I'm just thinking.
That's why that shit was shooting into Rex's head.
In order to protect you from it, I think that the protecting casing would be bigger than the actual weapon.
What if they have? Well, if it's kinetic energy, so it's just creating a force to propel something, but it has you have that technology harness, so you can contain the backfire of it. When the wave that it creates could be manipulated in a way that you can just concentrate it somewhere. It's a perfect premise for that kind of weapon if you think about it.
I'm just stuck at the energy source, the source. It seemed like it doesn't deplete unless I don't know. Maybe I'm mistaken because how many days elapse from the time that they they start shooting this ship. I mean the weapons, but even if it's kinetic energy, I don't know. I mean, because the reason why I'm saying this is because I never seen him switch power cells on that. So obviously
he didn't.
It doesn't.
But I mean, I know that it's not real yet at this time, but I've seen concepts of like people talking about batteries with some kind of nuclear source. It's gonna die eventually, but basically consumes the nuclear residue that it has. It's well contained, and like you wouldn't have to charge your phone for 50 years. Concepts like that. If you think about it, you can put a battery small. If you can make a cell phone with that, you can make a battery small enough. And then the thing is the power that it will contain, how it's used and distributed.
It would have to be very, very far in the future, I think, because I mean we already talked about this in previous episodes, and how the protection for something like that would have to be huge. And we're talking about something as small as a grain of sand.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Ray? I mean, atomic energy. I mean, let's say what plutonium or whatever that might be, the grain of a sand,
uranium.
Yeah, as small as a grain of sand. Protection would have to be huge, bigger than the actual weapon.
Yeah, I mean anything that uses nuclear fission or nuclear fusion to produce energy is going to release a lot of radiation. So you've got to have radiation shielding. So that's why for portable personal weaponry, it's very unlikely that it's ever going to be used as a fuel source. I mean, 100 years ago, we couldn't have imagined railguns or any of the sort of advanced weaponry technology that's being developed at the moment. And when you look at things like it took 60, what was it, 59 years maybe, but it wasn't very long. It was only a few decades between the Wright brothers flying their first flight and man landing on the moon. That was a huge speed of technological advancement.
Yeah.
So we can't really imagine what sort of technologies these people are using. Their advancement in technologies might be so far ahead of us that it's a power source that we haven't even considered before.
Yeah.
It could be something subatomic, something on the sort of I can't think of the word now. So something on the quantum level. They may be accessing something that we haven't even thought about yet, and using it as a power source. I mean, there's weapons postulated where you just have a block of iron as the ammunition, and it shaves the weapon shaves bits off of it, and then uses a railgun accelerator to accelerate the piece of metal. And it's not even like a fully formed bullet. It's just a bit shaved off of a chunk of metal within the gun's casing itself. So, I mean, there's all sorts of possibilities. He doesn't discuss it with anybody, so we don't have a discussion of how it works. It just does. So I couldn't tell you what it's supposed to be. I did a little bit of Googling, but couldn't find anything about the technology of the film and how the gun was supposed to work according to the writer. There's nothing written there. I mean, there may be something, if this was originally a novel or it's been or the movie's been written into a novel, there may be something in there about it, which might be worth looking into. But yeah, I couldn't postulate what it exactly would be based on the information that you get within the movie.
Some people have rumors that it might be inspired on Turok. Remember Robert Ray? Turok?
I remember that game, but I don't remember much about it.
Literally, it was like a Doom game, but you're fighting dinosaurs and lizardmans. Mostly dinosaurs, like T-Rex and raptors. And then there's some, I think, it's been too many years. I played it on Nintendo 64, I think. But I think that there were like lizardmen that shoot too. I remember. But no, 65 is not based on the book for sure. I just researched it real quick, and it seems that it's not the case.
Right. So it was written as a screenplay.
Alan Driver.
It would be interesting for me to see if there's a book out there and I can read it. We get, hopefully we get a little bit more information provided for us, but cool.
I mean, when you've got a movie that's just over an hour and a half long, you haven't got a lot of time to explore the technological aspect. You've got the action, and it's got the premise has got to be laid down as it was, and then you've got the action and the conclusion. So you haven't got a lot of time to go into how every little bit works. Obviously, they were a technological species. They had enough technology for spaceflight and inter-system spaceflight at that. So obviously they had some sort of faster than light travel, because it only took them 2 years to get where they were going and back, and that wasn't within the same solar system by the looks of things. So they must have had some sort of faster than light ability, which is high technology as far as I'm concerned. There are other technologies like that weapon, the rifle, would have obviously had componentry that we couldn't guess at, being that their technology is considerably different from ours. I mean, it kind of looked like a rifle because they kind of looked like us, but I couldn't guesstimate what was powering it. It's an interesting idea, but obviously the writer said, "Oh yeah, it was a gun, and it didn't run out of juice." There you go. I didn't explain it any further.
Yeah, I think it's the same thing as the 3 seashells. It's obviously that is an extreme, right? That was purposely done that way, and this one is not. But yeah, I kind of get the thought. It's just a nice thought experiment, if you want to call it that, and to see if what could possibly make it happen. What with our understanding, a current understanding, obviously, because I mean, it could, this is still science fiction. So, and it could be anything, right, within the realm of science fiction. So
there was a bit of body horror in there, though.
Yeah. I think that towards the beginning, also when he woke up on the chair and he had that little piece of metal stuck on him, I find that a little disturbing, but then again, it's me. It's kind of funny because me and Gio were watching that scene, and he's like, "What is that? An implant?" It's like, yeah, it's an involuntary ship implant. But yeah, and again, that's if you guys haven't seen this movie, which you guys should. That's basically what we were referring to as the infection, because he took that piece out, he treated it with what seems to be peroxide and some crazy glue combination thing, and eventually, down the line in the movie, we get to see how that looks like, and it didn't look too good. It looked really badly infected. So not sure. I mean, did you see somewhere in the movie where I can't remember seeing anywhere in the movie where he hit it, maybe because, I mean, again, he even fought a dinosaur in that cave. So, but I don't recall him having any sort of impact in that area that would cause it to maybe open and infect it even more. And that's another thing that I was wondering too, is like, apparently he treated it. This spray kind of created this white foam, kind of like what peroxide does, and it also did what that I call it crazy glue, but it's that medical glue that they use whenever.
Yeah, super glue, as we use it today, like called crazy glue as one of its product names. But super glue was actually invented to be used to seal wounds. That's why it sticks your finger to your eyelid so well, because it was actually created or selected from a bunch of other possible options as an in the field way of sealing a wound.
Yeah. So, you understand what I'm talking about. It's like at the beginning, it seems like it was done and done, right? Granted, he didn't cover it up, but the way that looks was very different on how crazy glue is being used in hospitals today, where they glue the wound and they actually put a protector coat, like a gauze or something on top of it, and you have to kind of clean it up and stuff like that.
No. What he put on his wound was atomic peroxide.
Yeah, but here's the thing: when we see him spray that thing on himself, which we already talked about, the fact that it looks like it's a combination of peroxide and crazy glue. At the moment when he's done, my perspective, and I'm kind of curious to see your perspective. It looks like it was treated already. It looks like it was sealed. It doesn't look like a crazy glue looks today when you use it to seal.
No.
It looks like it was completely sealed. And then we move forward into the movie and realize that it's infected. What happened?
You know what's the only thing that is missing there? That if it's so advanced technologically, why the hell not? There's no kind of anesthetic to it. There should be, right?
Yeah.
It was like that was purposely left out for more tension.
I mean, he opens a
That
drawer
was
and
pretty
finds a bunch of bandages and things, which is
Just push
very
aside right
low tech
away.
human technology that we see every day. You do any first aid course, and you'll be taught how to bandage and how to make slings and all that sort of stuff. And it's basic, the very basics of medical technology, which we use today and has been used for hundreds of years. And hasn't changed any. And it exists in his ship. There's bandages and stuff there, band-aids and shit like that. So yeah, I mean, what works, I guess. But
man, they have to also follow through the space OSHA, like the intergalactic. What do you call it? They are like a violation book.
Oh my
So
god!
they have to have like the minimum too. So like, you have the super machine here, and then you have all the bandages and stuff. So when it runs out of battery, go to the other one.
Occupational Safety and Health Administration.
Yeah, occupational safety and health administration. but think about it. I think that the main reason, for example, for that kind of like separation of like super machine and then just like some stupid bandages is because if something happened, like a magnetic attack or something, and technology doesn't work, at least you have something else.
Yeah, you've got to have. But this is the whole redundancy thing, which I found so strange about the piloting of the ship having no redundancy. Now you're talking about, you got to have redundancy in medical technology. Okay? You need redundancy in everything. There's no area where you shouldn't have redundancy. And basically, I had in medical technology, but not in piloting the ship. It's just like, what?
So, yeah, no. Bringing it back to the question, I always, as I watched that, I was wondering what happened. Why is the wound infected? Did something? And I'm like thinking back. Did he hit it? I mean, did the dinosaur bit him in there when there was a fight on the dark cave? I don't remember anything happen in that area. So that's why I was wondering if anybody of you have like, do you realize something happened? Did I miss something?
Well, level of technology aside, no attempt at cleaning a wound is necessarily 100% effective. Today or in the future, when your body is open to the elements, there's a high chance that something will get in there and start trying to eat you and replicate and create a colony. And basically that's what bacteria does. It gets in there and grows away, and so will fungus. So I mean, they'll all have a go, and you attempt to clean a wound and then close it so that things can't get in there anymore. But either his attempt at cleaning the wound wasn't entirely successful, and I mean, by the time you go to clean a wound, something may have already gotten in there. So unless you're going to stick stuff inside of the wound and possibly make the wound worse to try and clean it, you may end up missing something. And then sealing it may not be 100% successful either. You close it up, but there may still be small gaps, which, very small things like bacteria can get through. So pretty much whenever anybody has a major cut or a gash or something that enters their body, medical professionals will expect them to get an infection and will start treating them with antibiotics.
Even healing. That's why you have to drink antibiotics after big operations as part of the treatment most of the time.
Exactly. So they expect you to get an infection because that's what happens when your body gets opened up. And that's basically what happened to him. I mean, he had to wade through a swamp. That's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
Honestly, the bacteria that is only one bite of something like a crocodile that lives in the swamp in the water, they say that you get necrotic tissue rapidly going through your body just with one bite of a shark, of a crocodile, even if it doesn't hurt you more. The saliva or the Komodo dragon too. It has like an acid.
Komodo dragons are bad news.
Yeah, they have razor sharp teeth. So one bite in your arm will mangle it. But not only that, their saliva is acid. It actually corrodes your flesh and starts melting it literally.
I don't think that's actually right. That their saliva
doesn't
carries
melt
a
it,
lot of very aggressive bacterial species.
Yes.
And basically what Komodo dragons do is they're big. It takes a lot of energy for them to fight. So they don't actually try to kill their prey physically. They just try to bite them once, and then follow them around until they succumb to the infection and keel over. And then they eat them. So it's a matter of larger animals minimizing the amount of energy they have to expend to get their food.
Yep.
And the Komodo dragon does it by infecting you and waiting for you to succumb to the infection. And before you die, they'll start eating you because you can't.
Yeah. It's just a matter of being able to outrun them. But I think it's also part of like a digestive system too. It helps them digest also the flesh eaten with more ease, if I'm not mistaken.
I mean, all saliva has peptidase in it, which starts breaking down proteins.
I mean, they'll go further. I mean, our own stomachs, from what I've learned, if those acids were not surrounded by exactly what the stomach is made of, it would literally just disintegrate and start consuming our own organism.
Mm-hmm. Well, you have a mucosal layer inside the stomach, which is the thing that stops the acid from eating you. Yeah. And basically, when you get a stomach ulcer, that is when the mucosal layer isn't complete because you're stressing and your body isn't able to produce enough of the mucus completely around your stomach to protect you. And then the stomach acid eats away at your stomach lining, and that's when you get the ulcer.
Mm-hmm. And that, my friend, all of us are time ticking bombs.
So your own body is trying to kill you.
Yep.
Yeah, well, I mean, everything's always trying to kill you. You just got to accept that, the world, as if you consider it as a one organism, is out to kill you.
Yep.
But they actually discovered that the stomach ulcer is caused by a bacterium that lives in your stomach, which is an extremophile, so it can actually survive in the acid, and it takes advantage of that weakened mucosal layer to then get into your tissues of your stomach that's been damaged by the acid, and the bacterial and the acid is what causes the ulcer, not just the acid. I just remembered that. But yeah, it's caused or exacerbated by the bacteria.
What about tapeworms? Like tapeworms can survive in that environment.
Well, there's a number of different environments inside your digestive system. So you start out with peptidase, which starts breaking down the proteins in your mouth, and you get down into the stomach and you've got a highly acid environment, and that environment breaks down your food even further. So you chew. You break things into smaller pieces. Digestion is all about surface area versus contact with whatever is trying to break it down. The more surface area you've got, the quicker you can break it down. So that's why, as kids, we were always told to chew our food 28 chews before you swallow it. Is you got to chew it up enough so that it's broken up into small pieces, and you're getting that saliva into it, which starts breaking down the proteins. Then you swallow it, it goes into the stomach, and because it's all broken down nicely, the acid can get to more of the structure of whatever it is you've eaten and break it down quicker. So once it's gone through that environment, then it goes into the small intestine, and the environment actually change. The top of the small intestine is acidic, but then it changes pH down through neutral to basic, because you can absorb certain vitamins and things like proteins in an acid environment, but then you can absorb different ones and more lipids like fats in a basic environment. So you start off in an acid environment, convert it to a basic environment, and then you absorb other things, and then eventually it gets neutralized, and all of the fluid gets sucked out of it, and then you get feces at the end, which is hard compressed material that your body couldn't absorb. So it's the bit that isn't useful to us. and the digestive system is really well developed and well
Oh,
designed.
bro. It's such a perfect machine. Have you ever heard of poop transplant?
Oh yes, I have. Yeah, so there's two other things about the digestive system I haven't mentioned. The first one is surface area. There's certain parts of the body that have a high surface area, which increases the ability to absorb things. One being the lungs, the little structures at the bottom of the alveoli in the lungs, and then there's the alveoli in the digestive system, which increases the surface area, so you've got more chance of absorbing materials in the digestive system. But the other thing that Gio is alluding to is your bacterial flora within your gut, which is hugely important. They've discovered for your overall health, your ability to absorb nutrients, and also as a protective layer against negative bacteria and viruses and things getting in. So you as an individual, as a human, are not just you and your cells. There's actually more DNA in your body that's not from you than there is DNA that is part of you, because of all the bacteria and things living inside your gut.
It could literally save your life. Like there's people that have had life-threatening situations because they need a poop transplant. So doesn't matter what people say, shit matters.
well, basically, if you've had a bad diet or you've had some nasty infection, your
you ate moldy bread, you're fucked. You need to get that out of there.
Your gut flora can get so disturbed that it no longer functions as the
it's like it shuts down.
Doing the things that I mentioned before that help you be you and help you be healthy. So what they're doing now is taking gut flora from a healthy individual and transplanting it into an unhealthy individual to help them reestablish the correct gut flora, and then improve their health. Which kind of sounds strange, having somebody's poop taken out and put into you, but it actually helps. Yes. So it's a verified treatment for severe gut problems.
Yep. Shit matters, guy. Shit matters. But that's the fucking thing about the human body, and not only that, but its unique state, and you can see it because, look at just the main character, his life situation. He lost his daughter to a sickness, and he needed money. So it's like it doesn't matter how modern we get. There are certain things that always gotta be ahead that we need to put research and learn about.
Well, it's basically they have a capitalistic society. They don't have a communal society where people are looked after regardless of their wealth status. That obviously,
I know, bro.
Much like America, in that if you can't afford it, you don't get it.
I'm gonna have to marry into space. I get that reality. I wasn't born from the bourgeoisie, but I marry a rich princess from the moon, like Avatar, Robert.
Kaguya.
So, I guess I don't know if anybody wants to add to it before we ask our last question. And the last question that we always ask in the show is, what is your last impression of this movie? I don't know if you guys want me to go first or anybody wants.
Yeah, go on. Okay.
This like I alluded at the beginning of the episode, this film to me was unique in this story. I really find it refreshing and interesting, the story and how the it's all about us seeing Earth from the aliens' perspective. And not only that, which I think is the icing on the cake, it is playing around with the concept of leaving some sort of clues as to their visit prior to that cataclysmic event that was the asteroid here in the Earth. That one asteroid that we have heard so much about that destroyed the dinosaurs. It's like so close and no cigar. There's a lot of dead bodies there that they are alien in nature. The little girl was writing on the stones inside the cave. Things like that, and how they skirt around, kind of leaving clues. And I think I really enjoy that on the film.
Ancient civilization.
To be, and I don't think I seen other IPs kind of skirt around the idea and maybe give you little bits of, like I mentioned, the Next Generation, the Picard episode. But
They do that even in Orville.
I don't think, there's every IP I think has kind of gave you some little bit of this, but never explore the concept. And I think that's one of the things that I enjoy about this film is the fact that they went there. They just went there, full in, and they explored the concept. And I really appreciate that. Also, like Ray's gonna allude to this. There are some holes, but my suspension of disbelief wasn't enough to take me away from it, in my own perspective, and for me that is a win.
Now, in that point, before you even move on, so make a pause there. We were having a conversation about this, about how the oxygen level was 30% there. How do you think that would have affected us, Ray, in reality?
Well, save that for science fiction behind science fiction, because we're doing last thoughts at the moment.
Okay, continue the thought, Robert.
So I honestly, I seen films, they're good. I had to suspend my disbelief, and even though I have to, it kind of breaks the immersion to me, which is something that I don't look forward to. It doesn't say that the movie is bad. It just says that I prefer when I don't have to deal with that. This film, I didn't have to deal with that. It wasn't enough to be distractive. And
they didn't Star Trek it.
So
They Star Wars the shit out of it.
I really.
Hey, there you go. I got two terms. You Star Trek the shit out of it, or you Star Wars the shit out of it.
Or you just science the shit out of it.
You got science the shit out of it. There you go. That's a holy triad.
That's
the three ways that sci-fi can go.
That is your chaos lesson for today. So and that is my last thoughts. I don't know who wants to go next.
You go next, Ray, and then
me.
Yeah, because you're gonna talk a lot in science too.
True. Good point. Okay, so I'm kind of echoing what Robert said here, although there was enough to push me over the threshold of taking me out of the story, because I thought that sure, it's a shortish movie. If they'd spent another 10 minutes and nailed down a few things, it could have been a lot stronger narrative than it ended up being. They just hand waved a bit at the start to get things rolling. Once you got over the hand waving at the start, it went along pretty well. I did like the fact that he got depressed and thought, well, everybody's dead, even my daughter. Wow. There's no point going back.
I like the fact that he got depressed.
He can't be asked. Like you get a lot of movies, and I understand the desire to make the main characters heroic and show them with no weaknesses, and they just push through no matter what. Look at pretty much all of Arnold Schwarzenegger's movie where he's the hero. I mean, there's times when he's on the back foot and he's getting beaten up or whatever. He's but he gets up and keeps going. He doesn't get depressed. He doesn't feel down. He doesn't feel defeated. There's never any of that. He's just that old-fashioned
it's not real
hero that can do anything and just can keep bulldozing through everything. And human beings aren't like that. this was far more accurate to somebody who is feeling the guilt and responsibility of not only leaving his daughter who was dying and didn't see her last moments, and then ended up crashing the ship that he was transporting people and thinking they'd all died. He gets to the point where he just says, fuck it. I mean, this place is probably going to kill me before they could come rescue me anyway. So I'll just give up. And that's he's not human theoretically, but it's a very human thing to do. Look, I mean, I've been
it makes that theory of aliens just look like us, really.
Yeah.
Because it's all home base, and if you have, possibly you do have in the grandiose of space another place like this with the same conditions, what's not the likelihood that they could be? We haven't discovered a decimal portion of the actual explorable universe. So
or the ancient humanoids just drop the DNA from us everywhere,
the sky people,
and we're like the discount sentience across the Alpha Quadrant.
It's just a Star Trek thing, man. Until we know how to harness the power of a star or do interstellar travel, they're not gonna let us into the club of international cool people.
That's right. And I mean, Mondays were blue aliens, Tuesdays were green aliens, Wednesdays.
Well, I don't know.
You
see, time is a relative thing, because I feel like Robert had a week that was as long as a Monday. See, he cannot even disagree. Time is really relative, man.
Yeah. So, I mean, once this movie got going, it was good. It was very rocky at the start, I felt, narrative-wise, but once it got going, it made a whole lot of sense. The characters, got upset about things and got depressed about things, and they were far more three-dimensional than a lot of other characters who have gone through similar things, and just like walked it off as they often do. So yeah, I mean, it felt down to earth, even though some of the action was very, I wouldn't say far-fetched, but more likely than not, he should have died about 6 times.
Yes.
He was pretty unlucky at the beginning, but he got lucky at the end to survive all of that. But I didn't want my hour and a half back. I thought that it was well worth watching. I did notice that it got pretty much panned by the critics, and that's why it didn't do very well in the cinema. And that may have had to do with the weakness of the setup of the plot. But I really do think that they did a good job after the first 20-25 minutes. The rest of the movie was fine. So yeah, I mean, if they'd worked a little harder, added another 10 minutes in the beginning, and made that premise solid.
Family.
Then family, yeah. Then I think this movie would have done a lot better. But it not to say that it's not worth watching. It's just a little shaky at the start.
Sci-fi remnant. Family.
I am tired. I am tired.
Give us your final thoughts, Gia.
My final thoughts are family.
I was waiting for that.
This movie was good, man. I mean, I did the same thing. You guys, Robert, that was a segue. If we would have watched it with more time previously, like do a watch party of this one, it probably would have been a 5-hour watch, 6 hours watch for sure. Just like we did with Ready Player One, the first time that he showed it to me, and then we watched it a second time together, and we were like, "Oh, okay, it's been 3 hours. Okay, play again." And we were just like 30-40 minutes into the fucking movie. But that's how thought-provoking actually the movie is, which I think is actually something very, very interesting. That the movie could evoke so many questions. Maybe even makes me think that they purposely missed or screw up on some things to raise that curiosity on thinking community too. They could be, because it's one of those things that sparks. It could be seeing, if you look at it from an open perspective, it is probably just a new theory you know. So that's how good it is when it comes to even when he misses things, it actually provokes your curiosity on the reality of it. You know, it's like I was telling Robert, in reality too. Like I think if they don't have some kind of shielding technology, uh, like imagine what in Dune they have, but like even for slow attacks, if they don't have a protection like that, they are not surviving that hostile environment. Like, like it's what I'm saying. Earth in the most hostile places, the environment wants to kill you. In this movie, in 65 million years ago, Earth, no, anything is going to kill you. It's not that it wants to kill you; it's going to kill you. I think that even a mosquito would have really killed him. Some kind of small flyer.
When they're this big.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, when he's splattering, like it wasn't his whole hand, and like that must be some kind of crazy glue shit that you actually grab a piece of tree and it came off on your hand. Like if something that has a circulation full of that stings you, and damn, buddy, ain't good.
Yeah.
Ain't good. I promise you. But I mean, and also I liked there was a redemptive value in between the characters, you know, because he had recently lost everything and everybody is dead too. Regardless if he that's for some reason I didn't take at any moment that it was his fault. We have an AI to blame, so I'll try to take the roles like that. I didn't feel there was guilt on him, but I feel there was sense of duty, and they definitely were replacing what they lost in each other. She, her family towards him, and him, his daughter towards her. It felt like a very personal connection that they have, even though they didn't know each other because of that. So I think that she became his motivation, and I will believe that at some point, even though we want to think that kid is very smart, I think that she knew that her family was dead, but didn't want to accept it so much that it takes even the trauma. but really, if you think about it, the way that she even reacts when she gets from the top of the mountain, it's not she's the least thing that she is pissed at him. She's more in surprise and disbelief that this is the reality. Even how she reacts and her mannerisms when she sits down and retreats. It's not like she wants to. She, as a kid, that's what she did the whole fucking movie: run away and get in danger. She would have just done that and get killed, or make it just another final boss little execution here. You know, she run away all the time. So, like for a kid that you see that when it goes into distress, he runs away or shuts down. She was very into the moment when she realized this piece of information. So it brings them together, really, both characters. But it was very good, the movie on overall. I think it was good action. It does a great job to keeping you like on the edge of your seat with what's going on, you know, because you know you're gonna be surprised and ambushed by it. I definitely think it's a fun watch, and everybody, if you like sci-fi, you will enjoy it for real, for real. Yeah, those are my last thought, man. I should have.
Okay, so I think we can move on to the next segment.
Sure.
Science and sci-fi.
Oh boy. See, this is my can of worms.
Okay, guys, just so you know, even though this is one of the last segments, here's where you actually can mark half of the show starts.
No, I'm not going to belabor too many points, but I do have some points to make. Yeah, you know what's more scary than another planet with a breathable atmosphere? Visiting another planet that has a breathable atmosphere. Another planet that already has carbon-based life on it. Now, why would that be scary? Because it has a whole range of microorganisms and often some larger ones that all are compatible with eating you.
But they are completely unknown to your race. Completely
That's right.
Unknown.
Your body has no resistance, and as we alluded to,
table is shit against him. You don't know who's who.
As we alluded to, Gio and I, with World War Z, Science Behind Science Fiction, having been challenged by things that your body has no resistance to, generally kill you unless you're really, really, really lucky. Now, this guy had a rapid, unplanned implant. So his body was opened. It's like a rapid, unplanned disassembly that the starships have when they're testing.
Just getting like a third nostril in his rib cage.
Basically. But there's a reason why people wear spacesuits, and that's because the environment out there your body is not prepared to handle, be it vacuum or a new environment teeming with life that will try and kill you, as we've alluded to before. Now, these guys aren't from Earth. They do look like humans, but that's just because it's cheaper to film humans than it is to try and CGI in an alien, something that looks obviously alien. And they don't allude to it at all, which is fine because theoretically 65 million years ago humans didn't exist, although these aliens did that look just like us. But anyway,
what do you think?
These guys,
what do you think it would have been if they would have made like some kind of ancient Homo sapien looking like monkey behavior kind of thing? You think that would have been more bold for the writer?
Yeah, they've done Planet of the Apes.
They look like us, but they behave like cavemen. But they just look like us.
Well, they've done the newer Planet of the Apes movies. They've done the whole motion capture thing and made monkeys that moved around like people, or a bit like people. So I mean, it's not like they couldn't do it, but it's expensive. And would it have improved the storytelling that much? Not necessarily. I mean, I would have liked them to look a little different, like maybe a different skin tone, because, in another star system, your skin may well look different because it's like here on Earth, we have a variety of skin tones and they darken in response to radiation because melatonin is produced to try and protect you from the radiation. But, if the stars are different color, then the skin tone could well be a different color for reasons. So, just doing something like changing the skin tone color to something that you wouldn't normally see on Earth would have been enough to show that they were alien. I mean, it's been done to death in Star Trek, but it's not that unreasonable, really, as a designator of this is an alien. This is not someone who grew up on Earth with our star providing the sunlight. So, I mean, I would have liked to have seen that just to show that they are different. But obviously, these guys are not from Earth. They're in an Earth that we ourselves would not survive very well in, not necessarily because of the giant dinosaurs they're trying to eat you, but every little thing in the atmosphere, from the pollens to the bacteria to the virus to the fungi and whatever else might be there that isn't here anymore, that's died out because we don't necessarily know what was there.
Well, everything came back from the bottom of the ocean.
But I mean, fossils being fossils, anything that doesn't have a hard case like keratin casing or bones, you can't see it anymore. DNA does not last that long.
That's why our cases have gotten very small and soft.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that 65 million years is a long time. We're talking about it like it's a drop in the ocean, but it's a very long time. The only way that DNA survives that long is in living organisms and keeps replicating.
True.
They reckon that DNA would, in the best circumstances, would only last maybe a quarter of that time in amber or frozen in ice or something like that. All these biological structures end up breaking down. They can't stay together and functional forever. And 65 million years kind of feels like forever because it's an awfully long time. So what was going on back then, we can't be 100% sure about. We can't travel back there to find out for lots of reasons. What is in the atmosphere at that time that is biologically active could cause huge problems if, well, these aliens look like us, if their bodies functioned like ours, with immune systems and things like that, and reacting to antigens and so forth. I mean, it wouldn't have surprised me if they'd had a proper advisor for this show, that the guy would have got horribly sick and died as soon as he stepped outside of his spacesuit. he would have dragged himself back to his ship and lay there vomiting and with a massive fever and breaking out in boils as whatever the hell was in the atmosphere was eating him alive. And it would have been a very short movie. Because an environment that you are not resistant to will kill you. That's just how it works.
It's true. It's true.
So yeah, I mean that is sort of my big bugbear about this. He wouldn't have been able to do that unless the biology of these aliens is some sort of super biology which can beat down anything that it comes into contact with. And I mean, maybe it is, because you look at his infection, just sort of ignored it. You could just deal with it, and they flew away and lived happily ever after, even though he was taking microorganisms from that planet with him, which could have infected the rest of his species. Could have been bad news.
I thought of that. I thought of that when they were on the ship living.
And we haven't mentioned it until now, but there was that scene where the insect climbed inside her mouth and produced all that. I got to say, it kind of.
What did he use to kill it? I didn't get the method of elimination.
I think he used something to draw it out, and then he grabbed it and squished it.
It was
producing all that white stuff that kind of looks suspiciously like a certain sexual fluid that men produce. And it got in her mouth. You just got it, did you?
That's horrible.
It got in her mouth. She probably swallowed it. Anything that was on that surface of that bug got into her. It may have laid eggs. Who the fuck knows?
I was thinking and that was horrible. I mean, all we know, she's infected.
I would have considered her done.
It could be a chest buster.
Yes.
At some point.
That's how space noodles happen.
Yeah. So, I mean, it looked like a happily ever after when they escaped the asteroid impact, but who knows?
Yeah. Who knows? You bring a really good point, and we talked about this a lot. I mean, assuming that they are, they got lucky, they are taking bioorganisms that are not native to where they're from. That is scary.
This race, this species is warp capable, I guess you'd call it, to use Star Trek parlance.
Must be.
And is regularly traveling between planets. So they would necessarily have to either have built up a really, really strong immunity because they've been doing this, or they would have to have really good medicine to deal with these problems. They'd have to have methods in place of quarantine and scanners that can pick up things that don't belong and get rid of them. That sort of technology. I mean, you look at Star Trek and you look at Star Trek Enterprise, and the way they were dealing with things was very low tech. Like they'd have to go into a cabinet and get sprayed down and do all these other things, and then get tested again to make sure they got it all. And then later on, when they'd invented transporters, they just basically say, okay, this is you and your proper bacterial load, and this is stuff you pick up from the planet. We just take that out, and then we rematerialize you. Yeah. So I mean that's a perfectly acceptable technological hand waving way to have dealt with that problem.
Yep.
It's like, here's a quantum replicator, just stand there, and it's gonna just replicate the last updated version before you left the ship.
Mm-hmm.
And you just get disintegrated and cloned unknowingly, and that's how you go off.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You can wax lyrical about transporters and how they're murder machines.
That's one of the darkest things of teleportation, man. It's like, what if somebody really does know that they kill the first one and they just keep on replicating you with the last update? So you just don't know that the first one.
Just ask Riker about that one. He knows the problems.
Yeah, Riker.
or Bointler. You can ask Bointler too.
Oh, he had the same problem.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, we've talked about how there's lots of hand waving in sci-fi so that it doesn't bog down the story, and fair enough too. But if you're trying to build a premise that holds together, you've got to take these things into account. And they kind of completely ignored his infected wound, and they kind of completely ignored her getting the bug in her mouth. It just didn't come up again. So, I mean, they would probably, if these aliens don't have a super immune system which can basically deal with anything it's never seen before, they would need to go into isolation when they were rescued, and they would have to be medically treated for significant amounts of time, and repeatedly scanned and made sure that they weren't carrying anything dangerous to the rest of the population before they could be released from quarantine.
Yeah.
And I mean, you might think quarantine sounds weird, but it's been a thing for a very long time.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
And when quarantine isn't observed, you get things like the smallpox epidemic in Central South America, which wiped out a huge amount of the population. So it's worth considering. But yeah, I mean, any environment that humanity walks into that we didn't evolve in is going to be highly dangerous to us. And it's not just the radiation, it's not just the gravity, it's not just the atmosphere, it's the biosphere. We've got to find a way to deal with all of these things before we can populate other planets, especially other planets that already have carbon-based life. Because as I said at the beginning, carbon-based life can eat carbon-based life quite easily because they're made of the same stuff, and they can infect other carbon-based life forms. And yeah, we've got to be really freaking careful if we go to another planet, Earth 2 or whatever you want to call it, if there's already carbon-based life on that planet, because we will be hugely susceptible to whatever little nasties they have floating around. So, I mean, that's a big thing about this movie. And I understand they didn't really have time to get into the whys and wherefores of all of it, but I think if they added another 10 or 20 minutes to this movie and just really dig down into some of these things and gave an answer to, then we spent 6 months in quarantine because we were infected with all this shit from that planet, I would have felt a lot more comfortable in that there was internal consistency within the story. But to other people who aren't scientists, they probably like, happy ending, all good.
Yeah, I agree 100% with that. So, I mean, I can't really talk about the aliens technology in that we've given no descriptions of how it works. Yes.
We see that, the rifles look like rifles like we use because the aliens look like humans like we are. And it's obvious that a rifle-shaped thing is good for humans to hold because that's what things that we use. So you might as well just copy that and make it look sci-fi. And I'm okay with that in that, it's low key, but it makes sense. And when you've got limited runtime, you can't really, and a limited budget, you can't really make everything look far out spacey sci-fi. But the things about infection and biological contamination and why the ship was so fucking dumb, I would really like those to be dealt with so that it made a little bit more sense. Because you know what? If all of these ships are that dumb, it's surprising that they've survived this long. And maybe that's why they're not around now. Because these ships were dumb.
That would make a lot more sense.
They all died hitting asteroids. The end.
Awesome. Okay.
Did you guys have anything sciencey that you wanted to wax lyrical upon?
Honestly, I really like your assertion about the infections. I thought the same. I think that they probably would have died. I think that things are gradual to the level of predatory atmosphere there is, and this is like a very, very hostile environment.
Oh yeah.
So I would think that even any kind of bacteria wouldn't give them much time to really live from.
Yeah,
that's how hostile it looks. And oxygen being greater in percentage than actuality. I thought it was 21 right now, and it was 30 there. Yeah. But think about it. With that same combustion, just like it accelerates your metabolism and everything, so you have more oxygen. Same way, it also feeds anything that feeds off it, being bacteria that live from it too. So it's like everything really. It's like it reminds me a lot of, remember the comic book artist and writer from Arcs.
Yes.
And the name of the writer is R.J. Rowling, and actually his account, everybody go and check him out. He's awesome, man, and it's a great series too. Arcs, the comic book. It's at 6 parts right now, if I'm not mistaken. You can find it on Instagram and find it on social medias. And Clicky Sprout, and I'm putting it also on the screen too, so you can go and look him up in IG and find his stuff. It's so great, man.
And don't forget, we had him on our show.
Yeah, we did, and the artist too. Great representation graphically. I never seen comics so detailed, and I think that is very thought provoking what he suggests on this reality. You know how information is handled and everything. It's very,
you see, I appreciate the amount of effort they went into making sense of the science in Arcs, which is leagues above this movie, unfortunately, in that it made a whole lot more sense. I mean, not only Arcs, but the Alien franchise. Both of them, they were combining the DNA of the original animal. In Arcs was humans. In Alien was the aliens, with the local fauna and flora to make them more adapted to the environment. Because obviously,
what do you think about what came out?
Native has an advantage.
What's the first movie, the one that we like very much, that is Idiots in Space?
Prometheus.
What do you think about how they put it on Prometheus as the origins? Did you agree with it, or did you dislike it?
It was okay. I mean, we could spend a whole episode with me bagging the writing of that movie because it was just there's so many dumb things that happened. It was like Idiots in Space. But yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of interesting possibilities when you get away from just your basic
bias.
Your basic bias of carbon-based life on Earth, and humanity tends to be very biased about thinking that all aliens are going to look like us, they're going to be bipedal and so on and so on. It happens all the time. And I would expect that any sentient life would think like that, because you're your only point of reference. So it's not stupid, but it's
in
somewhat
the future
unrealistic.
we got blue bitches.
But just going back to what I was saying for a second, in Arcs, they combined the human DNA with the local DNA to create a modified life form for that environment. And the aliens do the same thing. And it makes sense in that when you're like these people.
Not only that, I don't know if you recall, they artistically kind of bring the whole God creationism into it. Because they talk about Lilith, they talk about Eve and Adam. There is like the hub where the creation sandbox that they have as an interface is Hayden's 3. It's very artistically done too. And I mean, how many times there's not a theory of maybe this was literal or maybe it was not, and it's a telltale of something ancient,
Yeah, that's very smart. I've seen it done a few times before, and they did a very good job of that.
Yes.
If you're at all interested, go back and check out our episode on Arcs.
Oh yeah,
it's in our back catalogue, and it was a very interesting discussion. That was a fairly long episode, as I remember it.
Oh yeah,
lots of good discussion in that one. But yeah, just jumping back to what I was saying, just for one more second, is that when you introduce an organism that's not evolved to an environment into an environment, it's very likely that environment will kill it.
Yes.
And that's something that we're going to have to deal with. And I really liked in both Aliens and Arcs that they came up with a way to rapidly evolve into that environment and be able to survive it. It makes sense. There's a way in which you can survive the environment, which should just up and kill you. And then you get movies like this where they just ignore it. Just hand waving. Oh, we'll just ignore that.
Yeah.
And that's a bit disappointing.
Awesome.
I totally agree. I think that's one of the most important premises, but what I think that they would have been long dead before the exit of the swamp itself. I mean, think about it. Even the impact and everything that called attention that him walking on the ground, like I think that was a big flashy, like, oh come on, not even a fight. When that crocodile lookalike thing in the water just go up and down right behind him and nothing happens, you know. Like I don't find a reason. I would think that this is so hostile that they kill just because, you know.
Well, I mean, animals don't just kill for food; they kill for territory as well. So you invade their territory. Very territorial animals will attack you, not necessarily to eat you, just to get rid of you because you're in their territory.
Even if
so I
you're
mean,
yeah, totally.
I would have thought he should have been attacked as well. Yeah. But they were subverting expectations there. They were building up tension and then not relieving it or not giving you a payoff, which is one of those sort of cheap tricks.
Yeah, man. I wanted to see the crocodiles. Probably they haven't changed much, right?
They're bigger. Oh, that's interesting thing about the 30% oxygen, because apparently at this time there are certain researchers that believe that they could have had up to 30% oxygen in the atmosphere, which is another 9% over what we've got now. And of course, that would cause anybody who's not evolved to that level of oxygen problems, because if you ever hyperventilate, so you breathe in and out quickly, and it's recommended that you do that, you oxygen saturate before you dive into the water and try and hold your breath, because you will actually be able to hold your breath for longer because you're oxygen saturating your blood and your body won't be oxygen depleted as quickly. But if you do that for like 20, 30 seconds, you will oxygen saturate yourself and you'll start to get dizzy. And that's in our present normal quantity.
I thought of hallucination. When Robert and I we're talking about it, I thought like you could be also hallucinating with over oxygenation, like just like you just pass out and black out softly when you don't have oxygenation on your brain. An excess of it probably won't be good either.
No. Well, we're highly evolved to what we expect to find. And if we're not in what we expect to find, our bodies will react quite badly at times. Nausea, vomiting, headaches, dizziness. And that's just, having a bit of extra oxygen. So, yeah, I mean, there's so many things that could have gone wrong for them in this movie that they sort of hand waved because they didn't have the time to do it.
I was surprised when the big dinosaur at the end didn't get melted with the first hit of the water hole. Like I told Robert right away, like it's gonna melt it. Like that water is so hot that it will melt away your flesh. It's gonna melt it, and he'll take the fucking hit. He's like, argh. And then the second one comes, and it happens. It just goes like freaking glue down.
Well, volcanic geysers, the temperature creates pressure, and the pressure builds up, and then they erupt. Old Faithful is one that's quite regularly erupting, and it's heated underground from magma sources, which provide the heat, and then it heats up the water. But the water sprays out the top, and then it falls back down, and it has to recollect. And it is actually possible to get a double geyser where the first one isn't as hot as the second one because it hasn't been heating for as long. So I think that might have been what they were alluding to, that the first eruption wasn't as hot as the second one.
Wow. Okay. Interesting.
So there is a sort of a premise for that. It's not very common though.
Yeah, but it makes sense.
And it also made dramatic sense that you think, oh, it's been hit by the geyser, it's going to be dead, and then it goes, oh. It's like, it's better for expectations again.
Yeah. They like push you to the limit there because the guy's like out of freaking bullets. He pissed it off already. Yeah. So it's like, I got your attention and I'm just waiting for these fucking geysers to go off. And that was the only choice.
Hate me, but look at me.
Yeah. And I was actually like, Robert can tell you it's true. Like I was already traumatized with the kid. I was like, don't freaking run. Don't go anywhere.
And all the time, the big rock's coming for
him. Yeah. Looking at the sky. It's coming. I'm here. Awesome. So, is that the signs?
Yeah, I mean, I could probably find a few other things, but I think I hit the high points. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Ancient Earth bad for aliens and us, if we could go back there suddenly.
And another takeaway is if you're wishing for the alien encounter, don't wish on that. Maybe in space we'll meet under like control environment, but you don't want them to land. No landing. We'll meet.
I mean, it was even covered in War of the Worlds that the bacteria on Earth killed the Martians. So I mean, it's been understood for a very long time that being introduced into an environment in which you do not evolve in is bad news for you.
Yep, that is true. Only I can withstand anything.
Yeah, only the chaos.
Only the chaos can survive the chaos.
Okay, so I believe this concludes today's episode. I really appreciate you guys being with us again and again and making this your show, because that's the reason why we do it, is we do it for you. So just remember, we do have Discord. So if you can come and join us, and we can talk about anything you like to discuss. You can talk to the host. You can talk about different, if you have any questions or any of our previous episodes. And we can have a conversation about anything. Now, remember, if there's tons of channels in there, and if you come in there and there's not a channel for what you want, please let us know and we can create a channel for you. Now, there is a link to the invite on the show notes. But if you are watching this on YouTube, there is a QR code. All you have to do is scan it and it'll take you there. Also, don't forget, we do have a website. It is sciencefictionremnant.com. And in there, you could find different articles that we have been written, and information about our show. When it comes to places where you can listen to us, there's also links to all that. And we have another website. It is called thisisscifi.net. And this is just basically one dream project of ours, to be able to bring collaboration between not only fans but also creators into one.
Not only fans. Yeah, only fans are welcome.
It's only Gians, not only fans.
Only fans are welcome too.
No,
bring him, girls.
That's only Gians. So this is Sci-Fi is basically the extension to the hashtag that we have. And my hope that we can eventually create a network where we have a collection of fans and a collection of creators to join up. So if you want more information, it is thisisscifi.net. Also, if you want to help the show, we do have a Patreon, and we really, really will appreciate if you come and join us and help the show become bigger than what it is. I mean, this comes at a cost, so we really do appreciate any help you can provide. And as you can already tell, we need to keep our very own Captain Chaos caffeinated. So we do really appreciate if you can buy him a coffee. Buymeacoffee.com. If you are watching this on YouTube, you can just scan the QR code and it takes you there. We also have a hotline. Yes, we do have a hotline. You can call in and we can play your message on our future episodes. We can have a conversation around it. You can talk about previous episodes or maybe an episode that you like us to do. You can do messages for any of the hosts or include any, hate mail for our very own Captain Chaos. We'll play it all in the show. And with that, I want to thank you, all of you. Thank you so much for joining us in this episode. Remember, check our back catalog and pick what you want to listen to. We that's the reason why we do it. We do this for you. If you haven't watched the IP that we covered, I invite you to just go ahead and watch that IP first, and then listen to our show. And that's the reason why we created that back catalog the way that it is, so you can actually have an advance notice of what it is that we are covering for that episode. And remember, feel free to reach out to us. We are on all socials, but mostly if you come to us via Discord, you'll be able to talk to us, and we can have that This is Sci-Fi conversation.
Yep.
So with that,
maybe I can teach you guys how I have a tardigrade invisible armor. That's how I survive in space.
That's pretty cool.
Nice. And with that, I want to say thank you, and we'll see you on our future episode.
Next time.
Bye.